story. And but before I read this story, and I want to ask you a question. All right? Trick or treat. And how many wise men came to see Jesus? Three wise men. Okay, all the threes, put your hand up. Okay, so some of you three. How many of you think two? Four? Okay, you have one hand here for four. Five? Okay, this is what the story says, okay? And it says, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, listen to this one, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem. Wise men from the east came to Jerusalem. So how many wise men? Unknown. We don't know how many wise men. Well, we do know how many presents they brought. They got some gold, they brought some frankincense, and they got some myrrh. Okay? So this is the story. So I want to ask another question to you. How many of you sitting here would like to be wise? Okay? Few hands. Some of you not sure. Okay, Presley is already wise. Okay. Good. So if you want to be wise, you got to listen to what I got to read tonight, all right? So this will give you some ideas of how we can be wise. So this is what it says. And the wise men, they came to Jerusalem and they asked, where is the one who's been born, the King of the Jews? We saw his star in the east and we have come to worship him. So now, this is the first thing that wise people do, all right? And the wise people, and they said, okay, where is the one who's been born the King of the Jews? Wise people, I want you to listen, look for Jesus. Okay, so what do wise people do? They look for Jesus. They search for Jesus, okay? And the Bible tells us we need to look. And we need to look with a true heart. And over here this Christmas season, it is not about the tree. It is not about carols. It is not about service. It is not about being good. It's not about the presents. It is about Jesus. So wise people, the first thing they do is they look for Jesus. And the next thing they said, and we saw his star in the east, and we came to worship him. The second thing that wise people do is they worship Jesus. Okay, and nothing else. They don't think about themselves. They don't think about, and a lot of us are so good thinking about us and ourselves and what we're going to get for Christmas. And it is all about us, me. But wise people, what do? They put Jesus first. They worship Jesus. So first thing wise people do, they look for Jesus. Okay, they look. And they look with a true heart, not in the sense of, some people just argue for the sake of arguing, and because they want to say, well, we know better than God. But wise people, truly, they look for Jesus, and then they worship Jesus. And this is what they did. And when Herod the king heard all these things, he was very disturbed. He called all the people and the chief priests and the teachers, and he asked them, where is this Jesus to be born? In Bethlehem in Judea, they replied, for this is what the prophets had written. But Herod called the wise men secretly and found out from them the exact time that the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and he said, go and make careful search for this child. As soon as you find him, report it to me so that I too may go and worship him. But actually he was trying to kill the child. After they heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen on the east went ahead of them, where it stopped over the place where Jesus was. And they saw the star, and they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother, Mary, and they bowed down and they worshipped him. They opened their treasures, and they presented him with gold and with incense and with myrrh. Okay, so now the next thing that wise people do, okay, first they look for Jesus, they worship Jesus, and they give their best to Jesus. Not just anything, they give their best. Their best presents were gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Okay, they gave their best. And maybe sometimes we're so good in giving our leftovers to God, okay, and whatever we don't need, we just give it to God. The time that we don't need, we give our free time to God, but God always wants the best from us, because He has given His best. He has given His Son Jesus to this world. He has given His Son. Miss Stu was just singing. Hannah was singing about how, Jesus not just came to this world, He died on the cross for us. God gave His best to us. We need to give our best to God. So wise people, they give their best to Jesus. But then the plot in the story thickens a little bit. And having heard in a dream, and they've been warned in a dream, not to go back to Herod, which is the king who was trying to kill the child, they return to their country in a different route. Wise people, they don't go back the same way they came. They go a different way. They live a different lifestyle to other people. Okay, they don't keep doing what other people do. They do a different thing. They do what God wants them to do in their life. And they live a different life. And that's the story of the wise men who came to Jesus to worship Jesus. So let's hear it from you. Wise people, they look for Jesus. So this Christmas, make sure you look for Jesus with a true heart. Wise people, they worship Jesus. All right, not themselves. They're not thinking about themselves. They worship Jesus. Then they give their best to Jesus. So make sure you give your best to God, everything that you do. And then they live a different life, not like everybody else around, but they live a life that is pleasing to God. I hope you have a great Christmas season. Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Prospero año, felicidad. Let me hear you guys. Feliz Navidad.